welcome back to How Do We Get Here? And listen, it's been a while. We're coming back. We're bringing some new stuff on the show. And again, we're going to be talking about a subject that all of you guys are familiar with: toxic people. Now,
Mhm.
I could sit here and ramble all day long about toxic people and all the other stuff, but why would I do that when I have a resident guru who can tell you about that? So, of course, you know how I brought back here Miss Della.
Thank you so much for having me back. I am so excited. The topic is interesting. So many toxic people out there in this world, and I just want to be able to educate.
That's why I got here. I could go off on just experience, and she could go off on just experience, but we in this particular podcast, and all podcasts, we want to teach, inform, and motivate you to do better. So I'm just going to say this. I'm going to start off like this. We are surrounded as a society by toxic fucking people,
Mhm.
and we know, and you know, it's family, it's friends, it's co-workers, it's the person at the gym, it's the person sitting in church, there's a person sitting in the car right beside you. There's toxicity all throughout this world right now. And
Mhm.
you're probably asking yourself, like, what the hell? What's happening? Well, that's why we have this podcast today. So we tell you people and everybody else in this beautiful landscape of podcasting and everything on what you need to be looking for. So
Mhm.
my very first question is, Miss Della, what is a toxic person?
Listen, a toxic person is really hard to define, but I do want to say we all have bad days, and having a bad day does not necessarily mean that you're toxic. You know what I mean? We all have them bad days, but a toxic person is someone who is chronically negative, rude, aggressive, dishonest, somebody who's lying, manipulative, hypercritical. Um, did I say manipulative already? Toxic people
Yes.
are manipulative.
We know based off experience, you've seen these type of people.
Yeah, I certainly have. Oh my gosh. And 99% of the time they're not aware of some of their own behavioral patterns, and they're also very self-centered because they do believe the world revolves around them. Although toxic, I will say from a clinical perspective, toxic person is not like a diagnosis, but
Hmm.
they are behavioral patterns.
Gotcha.
Toxic people are really arrogant as well, and their arrogance leads other people to feel belittled or feel bad about themselves. And so there's so many different toxic people out there. It's stingy, even sneaky as well. It's just
Oh.
mm, mm, mm.
See, so again, you see them. You can identify them. And I tell you, every word you mentioned, I have seen that on so
Mhm,
many people. And in fact, some people I've seen it all. I've seen
mhm.
it all of it in one person. Like, God damn, how can one person be that fucked up and be that toxic? But it happens. It happens, people.
Yeah.
You know it, and Miss Della knows it and understands it. And again, that the other thing is the next question I want to ask you is, what are the signs of a toxic person?
So how do you know when someone is well, again, that's why I was saying also like the difference between when somebody's just having a bad day where they're, maybe they recently lost their job or something, or stressed at work, stressed at school, things like that. You can explain kind of where their negativity started. Whereas a toxic, excuse me, oh, cut that part out.
Okay, no problem.
Ask the question again. Sorry.
Yes, no problem. It's like how do we know the signs of a toxic person? I mean, how do we? Because you walk up to somebody, they're not gonna have a shirt say I'm a toxic person.
Oh no.
Nobody's gonna do that. So you kind of walk up to them and start talking to them. So are there certain signs, certain behaviors, certain mannerisms,
Mhm.
certain things that they do that just says, oh, and you just point like, ah,
Mhm.
I got you.
Um, yeah, when everything is negative, like, oh my gosh, are you never having a good day? Is every day a bad day for you? And then is every situation a mess or terrible or surrounding you? Are you always this way? And that way for them, it's kind of it messes with your own kind of energy as well. Like toxic people are so negative that it makes you walk away from the conversation like, dang, did I do something wrong? Or is it maybe the world is really this bad? And it kind of starts to change you a little bit. And then you kind of sometimes want to distance yourself from that person or you're questioning yourself. And so it's one of those things. No, they definitely don't like have it written on their forehead, but they are those individuals that you come across that are just chronically negative, chronically have a bad perception of the world, even if it's the slightest thing. Like, oh, McDonald's is the fries are too hot. What? Huh? The fries are too cold. You're complaining about something every time I see you. Every time.
So true. And that's a fact. It's a certain people. I'm going to use a personal experience. There's certain people in your family that you see them, and automatically you go to, oh fuck. You say, what's wrong with them now? It's like it's never a good goddamn day. I don't give a damn if it's sunny, beautiful, and they go say, oh yeah, maybe sunny for you, but it's a cloudy day for me. And you're sitting yourself saying to yourself, God damn, every day is cloudy for you. Every time I talk to you, it's cloudy. And all of a sudden I call that energy drainer. It drained
Mhm.
the energy from you because the moment you see them, your energy level just drops 10%, boom, automatically.
Mhm.
You're like, oh shit. And you try to duck. It's like, oh shoot, if I can duck down the aisle or duck around the corner or speed by and look not
Yes.
look in the direction, that's what you want to do. So I feel you. I understand. And it's sad because you notice that they never have anybody hang around them. You notice they never had no friends. You notice they
Mhm.
never, it's like people, and when you ask people about them, they're like, I don't talk to them.
Yep.
I don't know. So it's like girl, I understand. I definitely understand. Now, the other question I want to ask you: are there different types of toxic people? Or do they come in like, oh shoot, this is a toxic person A, toxic B? I- Is it types of
Mhm.
toxicity, or is it just all rolled up into one?
Yeah, that's a really that is a really good question. I think that depending on the environment, for example, we might be the toxic person at work because we are quiet quitting our jobs. We hate our jobs. Like, I don't want to be here. And so we present as being toxic in like the work environment, but outside of work we're good. Because we got our friends, our families, so we're good. Or vice versa, where we don't really like our family, we don't like society, we don't really like people, but we love our jobs. And so when we're out in the community, we might be more toxic in the community than we are at work. It can be kind of environmental or situationally driven. But a true toxic person is someone who is negative like throughout. It doesn't matter where they are. It's always something.
Oh my God, that is so true. And it's just like, and you could ask yourself, like, God, what what's going on in your life that makes you this? I don't want to say despicable, but make you this angry and
Mhm.
this way. And it's got to be tiring. I mean, it's got to be tiring being like that. I can't imagine being negative all the
The
time.
time. Uh,
Oh,
and they
Jesus.
don't, I feel like some people don't really realize it until they start to suffer the consequences of their toxic behavior. They might get
Mm,
fired from that job because they're impacting the work environment or the company culture. They may end up losing the relationships that are important to them, whether it be their partner, their kids push away from them, friends, family. They notice over time that people are moving away from them, and then they may begin to feel abandoned, and then like finally something clicks where it's like maybe it's me, and then they start to develop that insight. Now that does happen. It could take years. It could take
oh God.
decades before they really realize it. But um toxic people, I do feel like there are some instances where it's because of maybe some early childhood trauma, or uh, in some workplace situations, school situations. There's a lot that could go into why someone is toxic. But I don't think that they know that they are toxic until they start to suffer the consequences.
Wow, and that is so, so true. That's very true. Many years we've been working and meeting people, we see it, and we see people get fired constantly, and they just never get it. I've talked to people who are like, I get fired for every job I have, and it's got to be them. And I'm like, no, it's probably you, but they don't want to face it. They don't want to look and say that I'm the problem because that means
Mhm.
that it's work. And most people don't want to do no work, and that's why they continue to dwell in the problem. So that's the
You
issue.
to it.
One of the many issues. Oh my God. And so again, Miss Della, we talked about the toxic people. We talk about the type. We talk about who they are. How do we deal with toxic people?
I have one word: boundaries.
Thank you.
Boundaries. Boundaries, 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 boundaries. You need to ninja the toxic people out of your life with some good boundaries. If that means don't talk to them anymore or only talk to them for a limited amount of time, like that family member that is always negative, I got 5 minutes worth of energy for you. I will give you 5 minutes of my time. And then after that, 5 minutes is up. I gotta go. I'll see you later.
I
I
use that
love you.
all the time. Oh my
uh,
God,
having
that's perfect.
having those good boundaries, even at work too. You may not, your boss may be the toxic one that is having an impact on the environment. In those situations where you can't really get away from the toxic person, I would say to have boundaries within yourself internally. Meaning, if you're feeling emotionally triggered by this toxic person, say it's a boss or a coworker, try to remove yourself from the room. If you cannot, try to practice, oddly enough, meditation in those meetings where you go into your happy place a little bit. If you have to pay, I mean, we all have to pay attention in work meetings, right?
Absolutely.
But take a notebook in there with you and maybe doodle a little bit while you're having these meetings. But then I've also, after those meetings or after those interactions, take a moment to decompress. Go to the bathroom, do some deep breathing, grounding techniques, or put on some music, soothing music that helps kind of bring you back to your happy place, and
Hmm.
create that um, create that experience afterwards that helps you self-soothe and kind of regulate again after interacting with a toxic person. I, for one, when I'm triggered, I will go for a walk if I have a chance. After a meeting, I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. And I need to go for a walk real quick, 5 minutes, push my next meeting back. I just need to take a minute. Or after work, especially if it's frustrating, go to the gym, run that out, join Pilates or some yoga, even kickboxing class. I've done that before too. Really, especially if you're feeling it in your body, get that aggression out on the punching bag. So there are healthier ways to, after that interaction, make sure that you are able to regulate again.
Oh my God, that is perfect. You get and you covered the last question I was going to ask you, which is perfect because again, when you deal with toxic people, you don't realize the effect it has on you.
Mhm.
So, and you just feel different. It's like you got thrown off kilter. You got off centered. So it's like that whole meditation and working out. Hey, I'm about that. That's what I do. I have to because if not, they could drive you in a place that you do not want to be. And there's not a place that we have to exist in certain places because just to be there. But you should never be in a place where somebody else's toxicity influences your happiness.
Mhm.
Should never be there. Should never be there. And that's why I said that's why I talked to you because you have the coping skills for people to really go through. Because a lot of people cope by drinking and smoking and doing all other stuff, which it's not a coping. That's just
Mhm.
that's a band-aid on a bigger problem.
Mhm.
So I with your skill set, how do the people get to talk to you, Miss Della? Tell them people how to reach you up for them toxic ass people and the people who had to deal with toxic ass people. How can they reach you,
Listen,
girl?
If you gotta deal with a toxic person, it's getting too far, you can feel free to call me, or find me over here in Maryland. I'm a licensed clinical professional counselor in the state of Maryland, at August Rose Health Center. I do individual and family counseling services, and so find me www.augustrosehealthcenter.com or on Instagram. That is where I am, so we can decompress from these toxic people in our lives.
They're gonna need your help. And people, understand, I'm having all her information on the website, on everything. So if you click on the website, you're gonna see all her information and IG, all that. Follow her, god daggone it. Follow her because she will help you out the madness. So I'm telling you, she's good. She's really good. That girl's good. So peoples, listen, hit the subscribe button, join the channel, hit the like button so you can get all the newest podcasts that's coming out. And let me tell you, this young lady is going to help you save your life. And I'm telling you, she's good. So you don't have to go through a bunch of drama. You have to go through the toxicity, and don't think that you have to do it on your own. She can help you.
Yeah.
And we will, and listen to this over and over again. If you have to take this particular podcast to work and just play it over and over again for the toxic people that you got to work with to keep you centered until you can get home and meditate and work out and do all those other fun things, please do that. We're just gonna say this. Please don't take it personally. Toxic people are not to be taken personal. You have to look at them, to deal with what you need to deal with, and you let it go. Don't hold on to that energy. It's negative. It's not good for your health. And with that, we'll leave this latest episode of How Do We Get Here? And again, you know what you gotta do. So until then, peace and blessings, y'all.